Okay guys, today we're going to do some work on our tablet. Here I have a Samsung. It's model number SMT800. It's going to be important later on. So as you can see, it's one of the old school micro USB chargers, and this one is pretty chewed up. It's all flipped over, all kooky, and it has completely egged out the hole here. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the charge port. So essentially all I did was on this particular tablet, and it's pretty old, it's an old tablet. So SD port right here, so if you pull this open, you have access to where you could put an SD card if you wanted more internal storage. I don't currently have one in there, I never did, but that is a good spot for you to get started to get this back off. So you just kind of work your finger in there. If you got a small flathead screwdriver, a precision flathead screwdriver, wouldn't be bad to put in. Just be careful, don't egg out your SD card hole, and don't go too deep because you don't want to break the clips on this backing. So once you get the back off, it'll look like this, and you can close your little SD port back up. So you'll have your battery, which takes up pretty much the whole back of the tablet. Then you're going to have your charge port right here, which unfortunately for this model also is attached to the USB, or the SD card slot. So this is all one unit, it'll all get replaced at once. Now to find parts for this, I just googled Galexy 10.1 tab and then looked for my part number, and believe it or not, it took me to Amazon. So Amazon for the win. I got my part right here. As you can see, it's got the new charge port, it's got the SD card slot, and it's got the pigtail that comes off, so that's going to take the place of this fella. So let's get this bag open. Now, not only did I get the new charge port, and you want to be careful with your fingers around the ribbon tail, around the ribbon tail right here, because that's going to bloom, and you want to make sure it makes good connections. So you want to try not to get it as oily as possible. One thing you will need for the install is you will need a small precision screwdriver. You can get these in glasses repair kits at the grocery store, no big deal. And since I'm putting a brand new charge port on, I have a nice fancy brand new charger cord that I bought as well off Amazon since I was already there. Showed up to the house within 2 days, so let's get going. So there are 2 Phillips head screws that hold this in, and then all we're going to do is take these screws out, lift this up just a tiny bit, and pull that out of the way. I'm not sure what exactly this does right here, but it just pushes in to the new port. So you can see this actually has a little spot where that's going to plug into. Again, no big deal. So I'm just going to go ahead first and pull that guy back. See, he just pulls right out of there, no problem. Then we're going to undo our screws, and these are very, very small screws, so do your best not to lose them. The part comes in a white bag, which makes for a great screw holder. So I'm simply just taking the old screw and putting it on the bag, and yes, that little black dot is the screw. So, and there's 2 of them, so again, you want to be able to see it. Okay, now those are out, we can begin to remove the old charge port. Alright, so I'm doing my best to lift this up. I don't want to take the whole thing apart, but again, you can. It just presses in here. So if you could find a good starting point around this ridge, you should be able to pull all of this back. And there is a little bit of glue on it, but yep, I don't think that's really going to matter. So you just want to be careful not to break any of the clips so that it'll snap back together properly when you're finished. Alright, cool. So if you press hard enough, you'll see that the rim will come away. So you're better off just peeling it away from the screen, because again, it just clips on there just like the back did. Just be careful, you don't want to crack your screen while you're doing this. And I'm not going to take apart the whole shebang. I just want to get it up enough to where I can get this fella out comfortably, which this should be fine. There we go. And success. And it just pulls out just like that. And you can see this is the old ribbon tail, and it will have a piece of tape on it. Try to collect that tape if you can, but before you do that, plug the new ribbon tail in. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this fella into place, snap it down. Plug back in your little card thingy there. Oh no. So as you can see, it can get away from you pretty quick. So you want it to snap on right there, because if you don't get into these two little pins right here, so the screws went in the front, there's two little pins where it rests in the back. You want to make sure that you get it down on those. Otherwise, when you come around to the front, you can see in my screen it's a little lumpy right here where it hasn't seated properly. So you want to make sure that you're able to get this to sit back around, otherwise it's going to look a little funky on it. And you should be able to hear it click. Did you hear that click? So what I'm doing is I'm pulling it this way and down at the same time to get it to clip in there. So now that's nice and clipped in. Now we can go and reconnect our tail here. And again, there's going to be two little metal indicators on your ribbon. So make sure that you get your ribbon holes into your indicator. And then the only thing that really holds that in snug and secure is your little piece of tape right here. So this little clear film. So we want to get that. You could probably get away with using Scotch tape. I don't think that this particular tape is all that critical, other than the fact that it is really extremely sticky. but we're going to try to keep it factory. So, and just put that fella back on. Try to hit the white line with it, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Beautiful. So you want to make sure that you get your tape kind of just behind this little white line. There's a little white line right here, so I went about, I don't know, a millimeter in front of it, and then I laid it down and made sure that I got over top of the ribbon and over top of the connector, because that's what's going to hold that in there. So now that that's in, we can put our screws back in it to hold it down, because if we don't, it looks like it's going to keep coming out. Okay, so I didn't get it behind, as you can see, it like duck bills. I didn't get it behind the rim here, so we gotta redo that. So what I'm actually going to do is put the screws in it before I reset the edge. Try to anyway. So these screws are really small, and I'm lucky that this particular screwdriver is gripping them very well. But if it doesn't, you can dip the tip of your screwdriver in a small amount of Vaseline. So if you just take the lid off of the Vaseline and just take your screwdriver tip and go doop, then the screw will actually stick to your screwdriver and you'll be able to drop it in perfect every time. But you want to make sure you get all your Vaseline off of your component. Don't let it stay there. Alright. Alright, so that was a good attempt, but as you can see, I'm still bubbled out right there because it doesn't quite want to sit underneath of here like the old one did. And as you can see, the old one has these two little kind of fork bits on it, and the new one didn't. It's all one solid piece. So it might, because it was universal, it was for this model number, the T.E.CH through T.E.CH. So universal doesn't always necessarily mean universal. So what I'm going to do is loosen these screws up a little bit and then see if I can't get that to settle in underneath of there. There we go. Perfect. Alright, now that that's settled in there decent enough, I'm going to retighten on these screws a little bit. And it's going to clamp down and help. Dang it. So after I tightened the screws, it bubbled out again, so it's still not seated properly. So, and I'm a stickler, so I'm gonna keep playing with it until I get it to rest, because I feel like those little clips need to be, and they do. All right, so if you look right here, real tiny, those little clips have a a hook spot that they're supposed to hook into. So I gotta get this fella to seat down into those hooks properly. Then once that's done, I should be able to go on. Let's see, what are you gonna do? That's your home, fella. Don't you want to go to your home? There we go. Flip in there, buddy. Alright. So what I've done is I've used the tip of my screwdriver to get those feet down over those, and I'm trying to get a good shot of it if it'll let me. But those little cleats, these little fellas right here, these little slots have a hole in them, and there's a piece that they have to clip into back there. So this thing isn't going to want to focus on it, but you can kind of see them. So see my shirt through these slots. Anyway, there's a little grabber that's got to grab those. So once those are in there, oh yeah. Well, around the charge port snapped on real good. There we go. Now we're all snapped in, and we're not bubbled out anywhere around the face, and I did not crack my screen, so success. Now we just got to put these two little nuggets of a screw back in it. We'll pop the back on, and I'll give her a plug in, and we'll see if she charges. Then the back will just go and press back on. Just make sure that your camera and your fingerprint scanner or facial thing, whatever that is, flash I guess, are lined up properly. And then you just go around the rim and press, and you should be hearing it click. If it doesn't click, it's not in. And you should be able to tell just by going around here. See, this part's seated and this part is not. So make sure it all clicks together. Beautiful. Alright, moment of truth. Let me plug in my new fancy charge cord over here. Alright, so here we go. So, and the reason why these wear out so fast is because they only go in one way. They're not like the new awesome C clips where you can flip it like this, like this, like this. Just if you get this JSR aux one, just know that you got to see the lettering and then see the screen, and then that's the way it's supposed to go in. And it does plug in. and we do have a charge light, so success. We are charging, we're plugged in. We don't have to wiggle the cord, we don't have to bend it or flip it or put this in any kind of magic position to make it charge. Everything's back to normal. Quick update, maybe some of you guys caught it. Jeez, that light is terrible. Alright, so on this fella right here, there's this little black fin. So when I was playing with this, I accidentally ripped the cord out of here, so this little black clip lifts up. If you don't flop it back down, it's not going to charge. So you got to make sure that after you put this cord in and you line up this little indicator right here, this black clip has to clip back down. Then you can put your tape back on. So as you can see, it's in there pretty good. It's not going anywhere right now. I'm tugging on it. So yep, just make sure that that's back in and you should be good to go. Samsung Galaxy Tab charge port repaired.